Thank you very much for joining me on this video. You know, I appreciate your investment of time week after week watching these videos. And if you're a real estate investor or just getting into the process of real estate investing, I hope you find it useful and helpful. There's some really valuable information that I'm going to be passing along. And today, I want to pull together what we've done so far under what I'm going to call a simple plan. We've spent quite a bit of time talking about real estate investment. And we've seen why real estate investment is an excellent investment, far better than most investments, because there's a two-pronged benefit. First of all, real estate, you will enjoy capital appreciation. By that I mean the property goes up in value. Maybe not every year, but it will continually go up, and it'll go up faster than the rate of inflation. So you make money on capital appreciation. Now, you may not be able to get your hands on it, although it will show up on your net worth statement, but certainly as it increases in value, you'll be able to refinance and take equity out if you so choose. Real benefit. But the second thing is you also gain on cash flow, and that's in the form of rent. Because property has utility, a tenant will pay for that utility, and that's money that you get in return for the ownership of the property. So capital appreciation and cash flow are two benefits of investing in real estate. But we saw also that how by using somebody else's money, usually the bank's money, you can greatly increase your return. If you've ever bought a house, you know it's difficult, probably impossible for most of us to ever buy a house if we had to pay all cash. We put a mortgage on it and we gradually pay that mortgage off. But in terms of investment, it's a real asset to do that. It greatly enhances our return. So I want to share with you a simple plan today. If you're like me, like most of us, average working guy earning a salary, one day you're going to want to retire. And the chances are, once the salary stops, you're not going to be able to retire with any degree of comfort. You may or may not have a pension. Most people don't these days. But even if you have a pension, your pension is probably at most 70% of what you earn. The theory is that when you retire, you don't need to put as much gas in your car. You don't need to spend as much money on clothing. You don't need to go out and eat lunches in restaurants. And so it costs you a little bit less. And so you don't need as much. Even when you hit 65 and get the Canada pension, usually your individual pension is reduced by that amount, so you don't gain any ground there. But you see, if you've ever been on a holiday, you know that it costs more when you're on a holiday. You got travel costs, you got lodging costs, you got restaurant costs, and you got entertainment, the things you want to do. Now all of a sudden you're retired, you got all this free time, and you're limited to 70% if you're lucky. It just won't allow you the lifestyle that you want. And I want to make sure that you do enjoy that lifestyle. So here's a three-step simple plan. Step number one, buy one property a year for 10 years. Step number two, never amortize over more than 15 years. And step number three, never sell. Very simple plan. 1, 2, 3. Now notice I didn't say it was easy. I said it was simple. It's not easy. It's never easy because first of all, you're dealing with tenants. And along with tenants becomes headaches. In fact, in the Bible, in the book of Proverbs, chapter 14, it says, where no oxen are, the crib is clean, but much increases by the strength of the ox. If you want a really clean barn, don't have cattle, but you won't make any money. When you got tenants, there's headaches involved with it. But the second thing that makes this not easy is you got to come up with not just one, but 10 down payments. When you bought your first house, you know the toughest part about buying a house was coming up with a down payment. Now I'm asking you to do it 10 times. And in future sessions, we're going to look at that, and we're going to find that it's not as difficult as it might seem, and we're going to find the first one is the most difficult. It gets easier as time goes along. But it's a challenge, and it's a challenge we want to look at. Now, in this process, in this three-step process, there's certain milestones I want you to think about. The first is year 10. When you hit year 10 on this plan, you don't have to buy any more properties. Now, the chances are you will continue to, but you don't have to. You've hit plan 10, you've hit property 10. Now you don't have to save a down payment. Now you don't have to put any money in. The next milestone is year 15. Year 15 is when the first property is paid for free and clear. Now the rent you received, instead of going into the bank and retiring the debt, goes into your pocket. Now you can use it for a number of things. You can use it to come up with a simple way of collecting a down payment to buy another property. You can use it as a slush funds for repair and maintenance, and you can use it as extra spending money yourself. But it gives you that surplus money. And the next year there's another property paid for, and the next year another property paid for, until year 25 when they're all paid for. And once they're all paid for, now you have that passive cash flow that allows you to retire, or if you keep working, it's because you want to, not because you have to. Now let me just explain a little bit. You've bought 10 properties. I encourage you to mix it up the portfolio. Semi-detached, detached, duplex, triplex, mix it up. But let's suppose the average price of the properties you bought was $400,000. Because you've bought 10 of them, you've acquired $4 million worth of real estate. Now in actual fact, 25 years down the line, they're probably worth double that. But let's say $4 million. And let's say your return on investment after expenses is 7%. That's $280,000 a year. You know what? You can retire on that. But let's be conservative and let's suppose you can only get 5%. 5% on $400,000 or $4 million is $200,000 a year. That's $200,000 a year every year, just like clockwork, comes in as cash flow from the rent. That gives you lots of money to not only retire, but to retire in style. And it's indexed to inflation. Property will continue to go up in value and rents will continue to go up. The only thing that's going to be fixed is your mortgage payments. And in fact, you'll see as year 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 comes along, you may decide when the first mortgage comes up for renewal, you want to shorten the amortization. Use the surplus money you're getting from the increased rents to shorten that whole amount of time it takes to pay the thing off. And I think you could conservatively have the whole thing paid off in 20 years instead of 25. 20 years may seem like a long way off. Believe me, it's not. Last thing, never sell. You may be tempted to, but that's like killing the goose that lays the golden egg. As long as you have these properties, the money will continue to flow, and that's found money for you. You can spend that money knowing it's going to be replaced the next month, the next month, the next year, and it doesn't erode the capital. It doesn't erode your investment base. So leave it to your kids. Let them decide what they're going to do, but spend the rest of your life first amassing an investment portfolio and then enjoying the revenue stream. We're going to talk next issue a little bit about this challenge of the down payment. Oh, and I should say, this is so simple if you're 40, 45 years old, or younger. If you're a little bit older, it may seem unattainable when I talk about 20 and 25 years, but you're going to find out as we move forward, there's some ways to shorten up the whole process, and it'll still work if you're older than 40, 45, you're 50, 55, and so on. So stay with me. I think you're going to find, continuing in the weeks ahead, some really important information coming your way. And by the way, if you do find this information important and valuable, please take a minute to like it on Facebook and share it. Help us extend the message and get the message out. Thanks so much.